Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, welcome to Joe Biden's America, where his shock troopers go and assault peaceful protesters in Portland. So, what exactly am I talking about? So, a lot of this reporting is going to come from Andy No. So he's quoting basically a Antifa poster may result in retaliatory action by the demonstrators. Ahead of tonight's pre-announced Antifa riot in Portland's Pearl District, the neighborhood association has sent out a warning to the community. It tells people to stay indoors after 7 p.m. So here's the poster. Autonomous demonstration, Jameson Square in the Pearl, 8 p.m. Direct action march, Friday, March 12th. No streamers, no megaphones, no masters. Wear black, be water. No justice, no peace. No borders, no nations. Abolish deportation. And then they have a circle with a slash through it for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And here's from the Pearl District. Again, we ask you to please limit activity to and from the garage during this time if possible. It would also be advisable to discourage any food deliveries or visitors after 7 p.m. on Friday evening. It will be best to limit the opening of any doors while the demonstration occurs. Please do not engage with the demonstrators in any way, including yelling at them or filming them in plain view, as they may result in retaliatory action by the demonstrators. Retaliatory action by the demonstrators doesn't necessarily sound very peaceful, does it? It doesn't sound like they're there to make a positive change in the world. It sounds like they're there to create damage or there to cause damage, create mayhem, burn things to the ground. They're there for anarchy, guys. This is bananas. This sort of doublespeak, basically saying, oh, well, it's just retaliatory action by these peaceful demonstrators. No, there's nothing peaceful about a pipe hitting you in the back of the head. Let's jump over to Ryan Saavedra. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Fox News reporter Chad Peregrine needs to ask Nancy Pelosi during her next press conference if these agents are stormtroopers, which is what she called them under Trump. Salmon Street in downtown Portland is filled up with tear gas and smoke so thick that it became impossible to see. So let's check this out. So they're throwing tear gas grenades, possibly flashbangs, I can't really tell. But they're just basically, it looks like there's about 20 cops marching side by side, basically pushing Antifa away from them. People don't understand how small of a force you need if they're well equipped enough. You only need 10 to 20 well-trained military or police personnel to deal with a crowd 10 times their size. That's what makes the U.S. military special forces so dangerous. So there's Joe Biden's shock troopers storming the streets of Portland, basically shooting at peaceful protesters, guys. Where's the outrage from all the bleeding heart liberals around the country? Not one peep, actually. No one's talking about it. Same thing like no one's talking about little kids in cages at the moment either. And again, footage of Antifa and BLM rioters being pushed back by federal officers after they tried to storm the Mark O. Hatfield US Courthouse in downtown Portland. They taunt the officers, telling them to shoot. And if I was one of those cops, I probably would have obliged. They're lucky I wasn't there.
Get back! Get back! Move back! Move back! You ain't tough! What's up? You ain't tough! Get back! Get back! Take your bags off! Take your bags off and sit on. I'll knock you out! I'll fuck you up! You ain't a man without this backup. You're a fucking coward. Yeah, let's go. Take it off. Put it down. I'll take you one-on-one. Knock your bitch ass out right now, then stupid ass motherfucker. Try me. What? Square up. You ain't no man without this motherfucker.
You know what? I really want to see some of these cops be like, all right, dude, you promise not to press charges, and then just beat the crap out of these loudmouth protesters who say, you ain't nothing without that badge. So what happens when he snaps his neck on the ground and goes, shut the hell up, you piece of crap? I want to see that happen. I want to see these cops be basically allowed to take the gloves off without legal ramifications. If someone's calling them out, say, take off your badge, fight me like a man, I'll knock you out. Be like, all right, dude, take off your body armor, put down your weapon, and beat him, basically curb stomp that piece of garbage. And guess what? It'll make people shut their mouths. It'll make people like that second guess before they decide to taunt the police. Because when you neuter your police force, when you neuter your military, when you neuter those you basically task to defend society, you're going to have weak people think they're strong because the police aren't allowed to defend themselves. Notice how that cop also was pulled back as soon as he pushed those people back out of the way, basically saying, hey, you need to get back. You need to stop touching us. And they're like, hey, dude, you need to calm down because we're going to get in trouble. No, it shouldn't be that way. If you touch a cop and he knocks you out, guess what? It's your fault for having touched that cop in a situation like that. So we at least in Portland, or when any of these things go on, there need to be a provision, because I'm pretty sure Washington is a mutual combat state. Allow the cop to basically fist fight one of those members of Antifa, send him to the hospital, allow him to send a message. It needs to happen. We need to send a message to these people that it is not tolerated. F the United States. Antifa tried to break into federal courthouse in Portland. Federal officials just removed the barricades protecting the building after months of Antifa attacks on the building. Now they're back again. Portland riots.
Fuck you, touch me again. I ain't touched not one door. Don't fucking touch me. Take that government paycheck.
Battery check.
Touch me. Death to the federal government. Fuck you. Fuck the United States. Death to America.
Feds inbound. Yeah.
Weak ass. It's fucking weak. It's fucking weak. Come outside. Come outside. Come outside. Come outside. Come outside.
I think there'd be a better way for those people to lock up that courthouse. I'm kind of surprised, but I'm also kind of surprised that none of those people were shot. People at a certain point, people deserve to be shot. And there's a certain point when these people are starting to push that point.
Yeah, pull it, do it. You don't scare me. You don't fucking scare me, bitch.
That's not gonna hold. That will not hold.
Where is that gonna hold? Those are not that great. I can put some hammers on.
Do it.
You should have put hammers on the outside. He don't like it.
Oh, look at your guys' new window.
I don't even know what that is.
Look at his ass.
Ha! Fuck you!
Oh boy.
So much for your guys' new window.
Where are the feds at?
Seriously, like, as soon as they started ripping those doors open, been like, hey, you have one warning. Keep pulling on those doors. We're going to be forced to shoot you. We're going to be forced to put you down like a pack of stray dogs. Because guess what? You're not only... Basically, you're threatening everybody in that building. And guess what? Those U.S. Marshals that are there locking up that building, they will be forced to open fire, and people will not like that. But that's the way it's going to have to go down. It's getting bananas. It's getting bananas. People need to be able to do their jobs. There's a reason why this has been going on for a year in Portland, but nobody's talking about it. Antifa and other far-left rioters in Portland tried to break into the Chase Bank. A lone security guard tried holding them back. He pulled out a pistol during the mob attack.
Back up! Back up! What are you doing?
Push him in. Push him in.
Look, guys, if you have a problem with a group of people, you need to address that issue with that group of people. I have no problem with people. Well, I have less of a problem of people vandalizing a courthouse if they have a problem with the courthouse, right? I had less of a problem of people storming the Capitol than I had of people storming a bank, because what did Chase Bank do to them? However, people had a problem with the election and then they stormed the Capitol. And I understand that that's a hot take and that might eventually be used against me. But let me take a second to explain. So if you have a problem with the government, right? And what I thought was actually pretty interesting is when, I think it was in Minneapolis, when they burned that police station to the ground in Minneapolis, guess what? They had a problem with the Minneapolis Police Department and they burned down that police department. While I don't condone the burning down of the police department, at least their rage was focused on what they were mad at, right? But as soon as you start looting and robbing and killing indiscriminately, then we have a problem. You go from an inconvenience or somebody that I disagree with your tactics to then somebody I hate, because you are now negatively affecting the entire community, if that makes any sense. So if you have a problem with the police department and you protest the police and you make the police, basically you inconvenience the police, then you're protesting, right? But as soon as you loot a Target or you loot a Best Buy or you burn down a black-owned business, no, you're just a piece of garbage at that point. You're no longer a protester. You're an opportunist. You're not even an anarchist, because anarchists wouldn't do that, because they would understand that the consequences of doing that would be they would probably get killed, because that's what happens in an anarchy. So I understand that that's kind of a nuanced take. Not everybody would agree with it, but it's my show. I guess I can have my own opinion, I suppose. And we really need to unite against white nationalism in this country. So this took place in Philadelphia. Dirt bike rider beats up Asian man in Philadelphia and nearly kills him with a gun.
What the fuck? Oh, shit!
So he's beating on him.
No,
And he goes in and closes the door, and he goes and grabs a gun.
Chill. He said, chill.
And before that, you see him throwing cinder blocks at the minivan.
He's trying to kill that nigga, yo. Hold on.
He needs shoes with better traction, though, because he keeps falling. But this is bananas. This white nationalism that's leading to the uptick in Asian hate crimes needs to be addressed. Joe Biden needs to do something about this. Of course, I'm saying this in jest because it's a group. Oh, well, I'm not. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what you're watching. If you're listening on podcasts, just jump onto the channel on YouTube and watch the end of this video. And while I'm saying that, why don't you go ahead and follow the channel if you haven't already, and please share the video, because I'm still trying to grow the channel. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway once I hit a certain number of subscribers. So there's that. But this is also this is really concerning because nobody's talking about this. They say, hey, there's an uptick in hate crime against Asian Americans, and they like to blame Trump. Even in these videos, they say, this is Trump's fault. And it's like, how is this Trump's fault? For one, Trump is no longer president of the United States. And two, I don't believe these individuals would have listened to Donald Trump, not to basically perpetuate a stereotype or anything, but they don't seem to be of the GOP party, if you would, because they don't seem to fit that mold. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. I'm more than willing to basically say I was wrong. I'm man enough to say that. But these definitely looked like Hillary Clinton voters, if they had voted at all. These look like people who are opportunists and are just violent, because that's all this is. This is violence for the sake of violence. And you don't see this. I'm glad I live in Texas because you don't see these types of things happen in Texas. If this were to happen, I would probably get out of my car and just shoot the guy in the street, because you are not going to beat somebody to death right in front of me. I'd rather have my day in court and have that person have his day in court than watch that person die. I'm tired of having watched people die, and it's not going to happen again. So, not on my watch. I understand that Philadelphia has very strict gun control laws, but we need to keep our heads above water, right? We need to stand up for one another. When you see this happen, you need to defend your fellow American. And you may get hurt, but guess what? If these politicians aren't going to do it, in the short term, we need to defend one another. In the long term, we need to replace these failed politicians with more competent politicians, or we just need to get rid of the government altogether and rebuild anew. We already have the framework. We have the U.S. Constitution. So if we have to basically remove all elected officials and input all new elected officials, because what we currently have, the Nancy Pelosi, the Chuck Schumers, the Mitch McConnells, the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harris, these career politicians who have done nothing with their life other than suck on the teat of the government, are failures. And it leads to this. And they don't care because they have their private security. They have their own private army. They want to take away your guns while they have a private army behind them. And that is disgusting. So that's going to be it for now, friends. I'll see you all in a couple hours. Until then, have a good one. Bye.